Alright, we're back on this again for the second day. I'm going to change this little break in his mustache, move it over a little. I got it a little to one side there. Someone asked if I would measure the bottom of the head to the top of his head. So I'll do that real quick. It's 3 inches. Pretty much on the button. Okay, I got a couple of real good suggestions over the last one. Some are on my blog down there in the comments area. Some came in via Facebook. And I'm going to try to remember to do what they ask. But I just wanted to mention, if you have something that you want me to cover while I'm working on a figure, or explain a little bit better, send me a note and I'll do it. I'll try to do it. But I can't do it unless you let me know, what your questions are. It just takes a comment down on the blog, and that way I can address it in the next one coming up. One of the questions was how I did this back here and why I did this. Okay, back here in the back, my knife, this knife, won't make, because of the width of the blade here, won't make that turn. But this knife will. It does it real nice. And when I'm laying out my block, I always try to do it in such a way to where when I make this turn, I don't run up against the grain here to where it splits. Because grain is a really important thing, well, one of the most important things you have to account for as you're carving. And here I'm just rounding this off, the hair back here, just rounding it off, getting away from square shapes. Now, why do I loop my hair out like this? Because it looks real good, I think, better than coming in like that. I mean, you could do that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. This is just my style of what I do. I've been doing it that way for a long, long time, and almost all my figures, you can't see it too well here because his hat comes down there.
What about the other one?
You can see it pretty well here. It just looks good. It comes down and flares out there where the head meets the body. It goes a long way in hiding that joint in there where the head is glued to the torso. It just works. So that's why I like to do it. Now that. On Mustache. Now, when I said before that this is just a generic blank, and the reason it is because I drew it out in such a way to where I had a lot of extra material right down in here to where I could make a mustache if I wanted to. If I didn't want a mustache, I could come on in here and carve the face farther, down that way, just eliminate the mustache. But as you can see here, I mean, the mustache looks pretty good. And back during the period of which my characters are set, mustaches were quite popular with cowboys. Beards, not so much, because things got hot out there in the prairie, when they were moving those cattle along. And a lot of hair, facial hair, collected lots of dust, and it just was probably fairly uncomfortable. So cowboys, if you look at old pictures of the cowboys, you hardly ever saw them with a beard. Now, on this thing here, where we're going, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is straighten this seam out right here. Bring it over a little to the other side. And also another thing the cowboys did a lot, probably all, I'd say almost all of them did, was they smoked. Terrible habit, but I mean they did it. That's back when there was no, qualms about people smoking. Everybody was rolling their own. So, what I'm going to do, he's looking off in this direction. I don't want my cigarette over here because that puts too much going on over here. Everything's pointing off this way. We don't need that much. I wanted something on this side to pull it back over this way. When you're doing a figure, from an artistic point, you want, if at all possible, you want the person's vision to hit them right in the middle.
Can't see anything with your hand.
Right in the middle of what you're trying to show. Like this guy here, see, he's looking off over there, but because this cigarette's here, that stops you. You might not really think about it, but it does. It stops you from looking too far over that. You're not misdirected in one area. That cigarette pulls you back, brings you back to the figure. Same thing here. This guy's looking off in this direction, but this cigarette is pointing over here. So when the two lines converge, they converge in the center. And that's exactly what you want. So, knowing that, and knowing that he's got this eyebrow raised, like this guy does right here, I'll put the cigarette on this side. So I'm going to just draw out a little niche right there. And just take out a little chip, just like that. Okay. Now you'll also know that on this one, he's got a lip here. Now that looks real good, but we don't have enough material here to get that lip in there. See, that head is just a little bit taller, as old Gabby would say. So we have to take that into consideration. And it's still going to look pretty good. Carve this up here. To get it in position to put a cigarette in there. Now on this side, I'm going to carve this down a little. And you'll say, well, why did I do that? Well, stop and think. If he's got this cigarette in his mouth, underneath his mustache, that's pushing all that hair up this way. But there's nothing over here to push that hair up, so that actually would be lower over here. So you get that pleasing arc that comes up here and then droops back down over here. Now, let me go grab a piece of strap wood that I can make a cigarette out of, and we'll just see how this looks. Okay, I found this over in my scrap pile. That's plenty big enough to make a cigarette, so I'm just going to cut me off a chunk. You always seem to go on the floor. So right there, see, I did it with the grain. Now a nice cigarette will, come to think of it, let me think here. do this again. I think I'll give him a cigar instead of a cigarette, so I'll need a thicker piece of wood. And a cigar, I was going to put a bend in that cigarette, but the cigar, being as it's a little thicker and thicker around, has a little more substance to it, so it won't bend. It'll just be round, like that. How big is that? Well, that would be a big stogie, wouldn't it? So let's just stick with that and see what happens. You can always make it smaller, but you can't make it bigger. Now, cowboys wouldn't necessarily be smoking a cigar. It'd probably be like Clint. They'd be smoking a cheroot or something like that, but that's all right. Because a cigar, when you stick a cigar in a character's mouth, it's telling you something. All right, let's see. Okay. Now it's going to start about right here. It's a little long. That's looking good. I have to carve this to where the fitties where it comes out where his chin is, but yet have enough material back there that it will be enough to hold it. So that's where it's going, right back in there. Wet the wood, cause it to swell up and it'll stick a little better. Now let's just take a look. It needs to be a little farther up. There you go, that's looking pretty good. Has to be a little bit more refined, but we can see now what it will look like. Take some more off of here. It looks kind of shady, doesn't it? Just evening up both sides of the mustache. Still want a little curl in this one down here. Now this one, because it curls, we're going to put a little indentation. Shows that that cigar is pressing up against the hair of that mustache. Well, there we go. That's good. Looks good. All the way around. So, we'll leave that area for a while. Set that aside. And we'll start working on his nose. Now, nose. Give me a pad up here. I'll get it. A nose, think of it as three little circles. You got the nostrils coming down there, and you got the sort of like that, and it just goes on up like that, and comes down like that. Okay? So that's what we're after. So we've got the main part of the nose here in the middle. Actually, it starts way down there. And then we got the little balls on each side, which come there. And comes out in a little gentle triangle, rounded triangle up front, like that. I'm going to relieve some more wood back here, make it a little more pronounced. To come up like this. Right to the eye socket. as you're carving, you just sort of have to constantly look at your piece and balance it out on each side to where they're equal. And I'll tell you something, if you get, you know, no human's face is perfect, except that when you're in a beauty contest, or maybe, you know, if I'm feeling good and I'm looking in a mirror. But on a general rule, no person's attributes are perfect. So if you get a little off, we see like his nose is a little off center here. Well, I can bring this over a little more. It helps a little bit. So don't worry about those things. If you get something a little off square, you know, that adds character to the face, the way I look at it. Like this guy here, he's a little bit more heavy in this area over here than he is on this side over here. Well, I'm not worried about that right now. Maybe I'll even it out later. I probably will. But if I don't get it exactly perfect to this side over here, who cares? You know, I don't. I'm after a good character. And sometimes these characters look better when they're a little out of whack. Okay, I'm taking out that little notch that's right between the two eyebrows. Looking good. Okay, now let's go back here. Redraw that circle. Okay. Now it don't have to be a lot. You can see his nose here. It don't have to be a ball. It just needs to show roundness. So that's all I'm interested in right now, is just to show a little roundness. Okay. Come up here and put a little notch up there. It's looking good. Notice when I'm carving how I'm always shifting it around to where I'm working on one side and then work on the other side. I'll turn it upside down. That's because I can't reach over here and do that like that. I have to turn it around. Let's just look here a minute, see if we got everything pretty square. Right back there where the nostril hits the end, put a little divot in there, like that. Take my videographer's back there yawning and getting ready to go to sleep. Take a break? Okay, we're going to take a little break here. Okay, back from the break. Alright. I want to show you something here. See how scuffed these areas looked? That's caused by your knife not being sharp. So, what?
It wasn't focusing.
So I'm going to stop here for just a second and take my knife over and strop it just a little bit to get it back to where those cuts aren't that way. Anytime you see a scuff like that, you want to strop your knife because you want nice, shiny cuts. Okay? And this will take just a second, and you can follow me along. I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I've got two wheels over here on my sharpening here. I've got the hard cloth wheel over here. I've loaded up with black diamond. And I've got a larger paper wheel here that I went and put a piece of leather around. So while I don't want to use that, that'll dull my blade, so I'm just going to hold my blade on here a little bit. That ought to be enough. Okay, we'll head back over to the workbench. One of the questions that I got was, they wanted me to explain a little bit more when I say cut at a slant. Okay, a lot of people cut into the wood like that, and then they try to take out the piece of wood that's in there. Like that. And see how dark and deep that cut is back there? It's hard to judge how far you go in when you go in like that. What I like to do, if at all possible, is I like to, instead of going straight in like that, I like to go in at a slight slant like that, and then on the back side come in at a slight slant like that. And see that cut down there? You can still see it, but it's not as dark as that one over there. And I'll show you why. When you cut straight in like that, again, see, this is the surface of the wood here. When you cut straight in like that, and then you take a piece out on the other side, it's hard to get it to match perfectly to the bottom of that cut. What's going to happen is you're going to come in and you're going to, you're going to leave an area back in here. Now, I wet my pieces when I paint them, so if I did that because the wood would be wet, it's going to swell and it's going to close up that area right there. But if you don't wet your wood like I do, a better way to do it would be like this. Do it at a slant, maybe not that steep, doesn't have to be that steep at all. Just say like that, or like that, just any kind of slant, and then come in like that. And what that does is, because this comes down like that, it's going to close up that area when you come down to it, to where it doesn't show. And especially if you wet your wood like I do, that's really going to close up. So you're just doing it that way, you're not going to end up with a lot of deep cut lines on your carving. You want those lines to be nice and clean, and that way you don't have to spend so much time going back later on and cleaning up your carving. Okay, let's get back to the nose here. Alright, we've got this area fairly well rounded out. We can dig in here just a little bit, give a little more shape to the nose. See, now see how shiny that is there? That's, my knife's sharp again. Nice, sharp, smooth. And get away from these scuff marks. I like to clean up as I go along, that way I don't have to go back later and rework areas to get them paint worthy. Well, he was looking pretty good there. Okay, nostrils. Alright, at the bottom, like I said earlier, where this blind comes up and meets that,
Right.
and then goes that way, what we want to do is we want to take out a little cut right there. So following the bottom of the round ball, I'm just going to go up like that and just sort of do a cut. Again, at an angle, and then come in from the other side at an angle and take that little chip. We'll do that, get a little deeper there. Now, see there? We're not creating a hole, we're creating an indentation in the wood that offers us a sharp shadow right up there at the top. And that's all you need, by my way of thinking. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, just stab it in there. Maybe do it over here. And go up there and take that out and we'll do it just a little deeper. Give us a strong shadow like that. See there? Now we can work these areas up a little bit more to where they're not such of a bulbous looking thing. There, that nose looks pretty good all the way around. Digging in here because I want a deep shadow line if I can. This knife needs to be stropped a little. It's okay, it's still sharp, but it's not razor sharp. line out here. I'll try to match that up a little over here on this side. I'll show you here why I did that. That's good. Okay. If you go to this website, can't remember why I tore off that corner. But anyway, if you go to this website, pcfstudios.com, I think you can get this catalog for nothing. And in this catalog, they sell artist molds to help sculptors. And they sell books and things. Let me get on through here. These are sort of, you know, similar to a whittling stick, just a little bit more refined. But what's nice about it is you get back into this area here, and you can see, you know, just by these pictures of various muscles and what effect they have on your piece, or on the shape of a person's head. See that strong bone right there? That has a real strong effect on a person's face when they put skin on it. So you can see the strong bone there and how it's dished out there. Body tones, and back farther they sell these things, but there's no reason to buy them because you can just look at the pictures. And here they are, basic expressions. Here's the planes of the face. That'll really help you out as you're carving. See, we're basically doing that same thing there. It's a freebie. I think it's a freebie. Might cost you $0.25 or something like that, but it's worth having. You know, it's a reference tool. I'm always looking at it, especially, you know, these pictures that show facial planes. It really helps me out a lot. So anyway, find my cigar here. Stick that back in there. He's looking pretty good so far, I think. Or he will by the time we're done. So I think that's going to do it for this second segment, and we'll continue on in the next one. So I'll talk to you later.